Romance is a beautiful thing. It drives people to always say the sweetest words, buy expensive gifts, enjoy long hours of silence, staying in a loving embrace in a comfortable bed, and want to do any chore or errand for the one you love. Romance is such a beautiful thing. Not everyone really needs it. Hi, my name is Rakashay. Welcome to Stush Nerd Discussions. This segment of my channel will take a deeper read into books that I have previously reviewed. It can consist of me gushing over the writing, ranting about characters that made me want to yank my hair out, or even topics that irks my bookish and artistic interest. The God of Good Looks is the debut novel of Trinidadian author Brian McIver. This book follows Bianca Bridge, a young woman living in Trinidad who dreams of being a writer. However, her affair with a government minister damaged her career. She encounters the ruthless makeup guru, Obadiah Cortland, and eventually works with him for his magazine under the brand OC Beauty. Upon working with OC Beauty, Bianca and Obadiah learn more from their first impressions of each other. Now, maybe there's some first-time readers out there who read The God of Good Looks and think that our two protagonists, Bianca Bridge and Obadiah Cortland, will get together by the end of the novel. Mainly because they start out not liking each other, then they learn more about each other and start to get close. Thankfully, they don't get into a romantic relationship. Why? Firstly, I think it would undermine both of their developments, and secondly, allow me to be petty, but they wouldn't be the best match. Maybe at the moment. Could be a case of right person, wrong time. I'm going to take a look at their relationship and explain why I am glad Bianca and Obadiah did not end up becoming a couple. First, let's get into who these two characters are. So, Bianca Bridge was raised in a nice suburb with her mother Belinda Bridge. Her father Dominic Chan Kit spent the majority of her childhood working on his chain of businesses, which proven to affect their relationship as Bianca becomes an adult. Bianca gets a scholarship to go to university in the UK, gets a degree, and returns to Trinidad to become a writer. She works as a freelancer and works at home mostly. In fact, she admits that because her job is mostly work from home, she wishes she could be in office to share a conversation with people. To deal with the loneliness, she goes to a coffee shop on occasion and meets Eric Hugo, who she is unaware is a government minister, unhappily married with children. During the affair, she often talked to Eric about the frustration she has with Dominic and her dreams about writing her book. After 2 years, the local newspaper reported their affair. Juliana Hugo made calls to destroy Bianca's writing career, and she was left alone to deal with the emotional fallout. Bianca resorts to modeling for the next few months to pay the bills. In short summary, Bianca is a smart and passionate woman who had a good chunk of her dignity and self-worth taken away. The combination of her strained relationship with her father Dominic Chan Kit and no friends creates a level of loneliness which would have had her seeking out some form of companionship. Eric to her was the answer to her problems. Unfortunately, he wasn't. Obadiah Cortland was born in one of the poorest places in Trinidad. His mother had to clean houses to make money, and his father was a masked man who made costumes and did makeup. His father left the family, and he had father figures in and out of his life. Obadiah and his childhood best friend Dante did various side gigs and used their earnings to build the OC Beauty brand. Obadiah also used his earnings to help his younger sister Alexandra through her schooling. Obadiah eventually realizes he has to create a particular persona to get customers and sell the makeup products he and Dante make. This persona had to be someone hypercritical in ways to convince the customers that their makeup is terrible and Obadiah is the one who can fix it. He debuted this persona at a seminar where he makes backhand comments to the audience and got a law booking shortly after. Alexandra gets a bank loan and gives it to Obadiah and Dante to buy the OC Beauty studio and school. Little did Obadiah and Dante knew, the money came from Eric Hugo. Obadiah continues working on his business as he heavily struggles financially, which stresses both him and Dante. In summary, Obadiah had a lot of difficulty growing up. He worked tooth and nail to get his brand and business running without any financial backing. This ultimately contributed to the persona he creates, a harsh and critical man who prides himself on his talents. He needed links and, more importantly, money, and there was a particular woman who he hoped was going to be the solution. The first meeting between the pair happens when Bianca was in the middle of a photo shoot when Obadiah walked in unannounced. He asked Bianca her weight and height, and she got angry at him. Obadiah then asked the photographer named Carmichael her status when Bianca basically tells Obadiah to leave. The following day, Obadiah sent an envelope with Bianca's exact weight.
Boy, if you don't...
Shortly after, Obadiah sent another letter to Bianca requesting to meet with her at a tea shop. They sit down and have a memorable chat of spilling tea. Bianca admits to knowing about his career and personality, and Obadiah hits below the belt by talking about her affair with Eric Hugo and how she lost her job and freelance gigs. Obadiah also talks about how she has no possible future in modeling. Then, after spilling all that tea, he asks her to be his assistant. Bianca right after proceeds to spill her own tea, literally. In short summary, Obadiah is a prick. He belittles her by touching on the most recent scandals of her life and then expects Bianca to just accept his offer. He claims he wants to bring the facts up front and admits Bianca is someone with plenty of potential who made mistakes. Obadiah figures she doesn't have a lot of money despite having a rich father, and it felt like he preyed on those insecurities to get some form of compliance from her. Unfortunately, he was right. Bianca was trying to motivate herself enough to leave her modeling career, and she was trying to improve her self-confidence after everything that happened. Now, this meeting could be the establishment of a common romance trope of enemies to lovers, because Obadiah goes out of his way to be antagonistic towards Bianca, and she clearly shows she is not tolerating his comments. As we go through the book, we will understand more why Obadiah does this. Bianca eventually does accept his offer, since Obadiah's tea was so hot it burned off the last of her dignity. Bianca emails Obadiah asking about the job offer, and Obadiah hires her as the content editor of the magazine called Extempo. Bianca goes to the OC Beauty office for her first day and meets the rest of the team. This is where Bianca discovers that OC Beauty isn't how it seems, mainly because she expected the place to have models walking around and makeup artists having hundreds of products on display as they paint the models' faces. During the meeting with Obadiah at the tea shop, Bianca pointed out he couldn't seem to afford champagne. That's because Obadiah's business is struggling, hence why Obadiah hired Bianca in the first place. Dominic is one of the richest men in Trinidad and the father of Bianca. Therefore, Obadiah assumed by hiring Bianca, he can get the links to sell Extempo and get new clients. Well, he is about to be hit with reality. For Bianca's first day, Obadiah tasked her with coming up with the idea of the next issue. Bianca does a lot of research and drafts how the new issue will look. She brings the idea to Obadiah, which heavily impresses him more than her makeup, which he points out that she cannot do. In fact, later on, Bianca was asked to be a model for a makeup class. After her makeup was done, Bianca took a look in the mirror and realizes Obadiah was right. She couldn't do her own makeup. Bianca enrolls in some ethnic classes that Dante teaches, which taught her about posture and makeup after telling Rakika that she wants to learn how to do her own makeup. Now, this can be interpreted in a few ways. On one hand, Bianca tries little things to gain her confidence and how she presents herself. For some people, a little makeover can improve one's self-esteem. In her case, taking Dante's classes helped her regain her self-esteem and self-expression and help her understand the beauty and makeup industry even better than when she was a model. On the other hand, it's clear she decided to take some of Obadiah's comments to heart and decided to learn makeup not to impress him, but to prove a point and learn something new. I mean, the last time she tried something new, it was to satisfy another person and not for her own personal benefit. For example, Bianca admits she did yoga classes because Eric suggested it to her, only to find out later the reason for this suggestion is so he can contort her body while they're doing the bedroom tango. Yikes. Obadiah notices that Bianca took those classes to heart as her posture and makeup improved significantly. He even notices she has been getting slimmer. Way too fast. That moment was when Obadiah realizes his words cut way too deep. Crime in Trinidad has been escalating. Headline after headline talks about a major crime. Bianca decides to write a call to action article that may aid in the call for social change. The first draft of the article talks about a Swiss guy she met while studying university who is big on recycling. And Bianca in her writing seemed to lean towards to say that Switzerland have more social responsibility than Trinidad and Tobago, hence why Switzerland doesn't have to have the social issues that the Twin Islands have. Obadiah marked out a whole page of her article. He expresses his opinion on the article, where he believes that Bianca is simply beating down on the lower class and not holding the government accountable. Bianca disagrees, especially when he mentioned Eric not doing anything to fix the country. Obadiah admits to himself he had to be harsh to Bianca so that she doesn't bruise his ego first. He makes a big assumption about Bianca being similar to the rich men in Trinidad, being arrogant and selfish. Bianca writes a new draft. Obadiah sits down to question her about her life and finds out Bianca doesn't have a close relationship with her father. He points out how Bianca thinks she has life hard because she has a second-hand car and lives in a dodgy part of town that her father gave her. He tells her to downscale the article for the magazine. Bianca and Obadiah's relationship got off on the wrong foot, and their respective backgrounds and lifestyle create contrasting opinions. Bianca allows her bias of Eric and her lack of understanding the issues of class and poverty in Trinidad to write a proper article. Based on how she grew up, while not perfect, Bianca at least had her basic needs met, and her dad does provide little things like her car or her apartment. Now, Obadiah does have a point. He understands the struggle of the lower class of society because he experienced it. In his mind, Bianca may never understand that experience, especially one that could have been solvable by those in power or caused by the upper class of their society. At the same time, Obadiah did make assumptions about her character, which resulted in him basically to humble her first before she could humble him. Bianca does want to help the Trinidadian society. However, there is a lot of things she needs to learn and understand first. This conflict lays the grounds for the pair to try to understand where they come from and do better to learn more about each other. The OC team planned to have dinner to celebrate the release of the new extempo issue, with Bianca as the new content editor. Conveniently, Dante and Rakika have clients on that night, which leaves Obadiah and Bianca at a busy restaurant one Friday night. Obadiah was on his way to the studio, and he starts thinking how Bianca, in her own way, secured some customers for OC Beauty. He even notes how Bianca listens keenly to anyone she speaks to, including him. They travel to the restaurant together, sit at a table for two, and order their food. Bianca starts a conversation with Obadiah. They speak about the places they grew up in, and Obadiah mentions an idea for the next example issue. And during the conversation, he says in his head that Bianca is a knockout and tempting himself to say her first name out loud because remember, he's keeping professional. Now, the pair are treating each other in a more friendly manner. Obadiah, while keeping his guard up, does realize Bianca is a considerate person. I find this moment between them really neat and sweet because it shows a major relationship improvement. The idea of the next extempo issue is coming into fruition that tackles a big issue, crime. Bianca was used as a model for Obadiah's special effects makeup class. It then turned into an impromptu high-fashion photo shoot since Bianca's makeup was on point. During the photo shoot, Bianca almost fainted due to her fasting. Obadiah talks to her about her sudden lifestyle changes the next day. He points out she shouldn't lose weight because someone told her to. Aside from Dominic, who pointed out that Bianca looked sick, Obadiah was the only other one to point out what she's doing is not healthy. Plus, he could be holding himself accountable for saying that Bianca must be a certain weight to be a model. Bianca makes the suggestion of including features of each member of the team. The focus is on who they are as individuals and their signature style. Bianca immediately thinks of wearing a yellow thong bikini. This bikini is important because she was photographed with Eric in it in the newspaper that exposed the affair. She figured it is a way to take charge of her story. Obadiah immediately disagrees with her about the spread that will make mention of Eric. A few days later, Obadiah talked to Bianca about the spread where he warned her about how people will perceive her from the spread. Bianca assures him and he eventually accepts Bianca's decision. Now, we get a intimate moment between the two for the photo shoot. So Bianca is wearing a bikini, she's wearing the bikini for the photo shoot and requires body makeup since she is going to the beach. Since we're going through her point of view first for this part, she describes the feeling of Obadiah using his makeup tools and hands. She even points out how she can feel his breath as he's putting it on. After the shoot, she starts thinking of Obadiah. More like her thought process was how she felt about him and possible romantic scenarios. Now, because they were in an intimate moment, it's understandable a million thoughts ran through her head, but it made a segue into Eric. Anyways, Bianca admits maybe because Eric made her feel sexy and beautiful, she probably felt similarly with Obadiah since he was literally making her look sexy and beautiful. Bianca recalls her relationships with two other men, but they weren't as great as her relationship with Eric. With Eric, she says she felt like she was sexy without trying. She shakes off the thought as she goes about the rest of her day. In Obadiah's POV, he does mention the perfume she's wearing. Obadiah receives the final photos a few days later from the photographer Carmichael. Obadiah does describe every photo of the OC team, but for Bianca, he goes to such spectacular detail. He also understands Bianca's vision much better because it was a way to show she, still is around living her life and she doesn't care what people have to say. In fact, Obadiah admits he wished he could start over with Bianca instead of packing her up in Carmichael's car. I love these moments because they are on much better terms. They still do have disagreements, but they are in a better place of understanding each other. They can confide in each other about problems they have like any pair of friends do, and more importantly, trust each other. Now, there are some thoughts between them. However, Obadiah knows for a fact Bianca prefers a professional relationship. And for Bianca, well, she questioned herself about Obadiah, but seemed to lean towards maintaining a professional relationship as well. Maybe even a friendship. Now, Obadiah and Bianca trust and confide in each other as friends, and this major development in their relationship helped the other with their family issues. After an interview for the first extempo issue, Obadiah advised Bianca to talk to Dominic about major things such as the aftermath she had to deal with when the affair with Eric was exposed, for example. This has proven helpful because Dominic shares he doesn't like Eric at all and is very impressed with the quality of extempo and wishes to have lots of copies to distribute across his businesses. Later down in the book, they switch roles as Bianca advises Obadiah to talk with Alexandra about her personal interests, show unconditional love towards her, and to not judge her. Bianca even recognizes that Alexandra is being stringed along by Eric and wishes to reach out to her by a letter she wrote for the next extempo issue. This letter is an incredible letter to the women in Trinidad where she tells them the importance of their self-worth and a warning about men like Eric. Alexandra reads it and tells Obadiah she believes Bianca is just a lonely woman with issues because Eric told her about it. This worries Obadiah because he believed Bianca stopped talking to Eric months ago. Obadiah talks to Bianca the next day and she admits to seeing Eric and Alexandra while she was at a restaurant. Bianca shows Obadiah the text that Eric sent her shortly after seeing her and admits she rather tells Eric to go f himself. Eric was most likely told by Alexandra that the next issue of Extempo would be a bad look on him, so he calls Obadiah to a meeting for a business grant. Obadiah tells Bianca about this conversation where she chastises Obadiah about the purpose of the spread. The whole issue is meant to be a statement from the OC team addressing the issues in the country. Best time to talk about Eric. Ugh. Eric is a conniving person. He finds your emotional weak points and uses various methods to get you to bend your knees to him. Think of it. He gathered information about Alexandra and Bianca's lives and uses information to have the woman under his spell. He gets some money for groceries, he buys nice jewelry, he takes them on romantic dates, and much more. In a way, he is using a similar tactic against Obadiah. Eric knows that Obadiah is struggling financially and knows by sponsoring OC Beauty, Obadiah will bow towards him. Bianca then comes up with a plan. Bianca talks with Dominic about distributing Extempo across his many businesses with additional help from a newspaper publisher. Then, Bianca takes Obadiah's place for the meeting without telling Eric. While the magazine is being distributed across the country, Bianca talks with Eric, telling him they don't need his help and Dominic's investments will be enough. This horrifies Eric because Dominic has a big influence on the local business industry. To make things even better, Juliana, Eric's wife, barges into the meeting with a copy of Extempo, horrified. In her own way, Bianca took back her power and went forward with her life. The book's final pages end with Bianca and Obadiah having dinner in celebrating the success of the second Extempo issue. I think it's pretty symbolic that Bianca and Obadiah both cook meals in their own places and come together for a great dinner. At the end of the book, they work on a novel together. Now, Bianca and Obadiah definitely have great development, and some people wonder why don't they become a couple? Well, I don't think that was the point. Bianca felt lonely and had a lack of companions beside her. She did have other romantic relationships, but they didn't fill the void. Eric in ways did, but did not correctly, which leads Obadiah. He's at least more honest with her and later on shows concern for her well-being. She slowly realizes he's a talented man who worked hard to find his place in the world, and in ways, this motivates her to learn new things and find a place of understanding. She didn't need a man. She needed companions she can confide in and share her thoughts and dreams. Meeting Obadiah gave her that. And I also want to say, more importantly, it was about self-empowerment and understanding her own strength within. Obadiah needed to create a harsh persona to build his business and made every assurance that OC Beauty is thriving well. He needed to ensure OC Beauty thrives, and he needed the financial and personal connections to do that. Bianca brought that to the table, especially since she believed in the potential of the business. Her belief managed to reach many people, and Obadiah's dream came true. He reaches a level of understanding, especially when he makes his intentions clear. At the end of the day, they didn't have to pursue a romantic relationship. Their friendship alone provided a lot of things they did not get to experience: trust, transparency, and tranquility, at least for the moment. Maybe the power of friendship can solve most problems. Romance doesn't have to be the number one conclusion. Sometimes sharing a simple companionship goes a long way, and that's why I'm glad Bianca and Obadiah didn't end up becoming a couple. Yeah, so tell me in comments that what you thought of this video, if you read the book or whatnot. Remember to check out the store. All my social media links are in the description. And my voice is so strange because I did all this recording one sitting. Oh my gosh, can you hear it? Just Alright, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.